Welcome to Moonlight Whispers, where every night has a story, and every story brings you closer to sleep. Snow had been falling since early afternoon. Not the hurried kind of snow that storms through the sky, but the slow, thoughtful kind. Each flake drifting as if it had all the time in the world. The road wound gently through the mountains, lined with tall evergreen trees standing quietly beneath the weight of fresh white snow. Inside the car, Thomas drove slowly. He wasn't in a hurry. In truth, he wasn't entirely sure where he was going. Christmas Eve had arrived quietly this year, without invitations, without plans, without voices waiting at the other end of the road. The radio played softly, then faded into static as the mountains rose higher. Thomas turned it off. Silence filled the car, a peaceful, almost comforting silence. Snowflakes brushed against the windshield like whispered thoughts. That was when he saw it, a narrow wooden sign half buried in snow. Evergreen Cabin, 2 miles. Thomas slowed the car. He didn't remember seeing it on the map. He didn't remember planning a stop. But something about the name, Evergreen, felt warm, inviting, as if the road itself had gently suggested, "You may rest here." He turned the wheel. The paved road slowly gave way to a narrow path. Snow crunched softly beneath the tires. The forest grew denser, darker, yet never threatening. Tall pines stood like quiet guardians, their branches heavy with snow, their scent fresh and calming. The car lights cast long, gentle shadows between the trees. Thomas drove on. Minutes passed, then more. Just as doubt began to rise, a warm golden glow appeared ahead. He slowed again. Between the trees stood a cabin, small, perfectly still. Smoke curled lazily from its chimney. Warm light glowed from the windows, spilling softly onto the snow-covered ground. Thomas parked the car and stepped outside. The cold air kissed his cheeks, sharp but clean. He stood there for a moment, breathing in pine and wood smoke. And somewhere deep inside him, a quiet tension began to loosen. The cabin door was made of old wood, smooth from years of weather and touch. A simple wreath hung at its center. Evergreen branches, pine cones, a red ribbon faded with time. Thomas hesitated, then knocked gently. Almost immediately, the door opened. A man stood there, older but not frail. His hair was silver, his eyes clear and calm, reflecting the warm firelight behind him. He wore a thick wool sweater and smiled as though he had been expecting Thomas all evening. "You must be cold," the man said gently. "Come in. Christmas is warmer indoors." Thomas blinked. I don't mean to intrude," he said. "I saw the sign and—" "There are no intrusions on Christmas Eve," the man replied softly. "Only arrivals." He stepped aside, and Thomas entered Evergreen Cabin. Warmth wrapped around Thomas instantly. The cabin glowed with soft, golden light. A fire crackled gently in a stone fireplace. Stockings hung neatly along the mantel. A small Christmas tree stood in the corner, decorated with simple wooden ornaments and tiny candle-shaped lights. The air smelled of cedar, cinnamon, and something freshly baked. "Sit," the man said kindly. "You've come a long way, even if you don't yet realize it." Thomas removed his coat and sat in a sturdy wooden chair near the fire. The man handed him a mug. Steam curled upward. "What is this?" Thomas asked. "Spiced apple tea," the man replied. "Good for tired travelers." Thomas took a sip. Warmth spread through him, not just in his body, but somewhere deeper. His shoulders relaxed. His breath slowed. "I'm Thomas," he said quietly. "I know," the man replied, smiling. Thomas paused. "Have we met?" The man chuckled softly. "Not in the usual way." They sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, the fire spoke in gentle pops and sighs. "You're alone this Christmas," the man said, not as a question. Thomas nodded. "I didn't plan it that way. It just happened." The man stirred the fire slowly. "Christmas often finds us where we didn't plan to be," he said, "but always where we need to be." Thomas stared into the flames. "I used to love this time of year," he admitted, "but somewhere along the way, it started feeling empty." The man looked at him kindly. "Empty things can still be filled," he said, "especially on nights like this." Thomas felt something shift, as if the cabin itself was listening. "Who built this place?" Thomas asked. The man smiled at the fire. "This cabin appears when it's needed," he said simply. "For those who wander a little too long and forget to rest." Thomas frowned slightly. "That doesn't sound possible." The man's smile deepened. "Neither does snow falling from empty skies," he replied. "And yet, here we are." He stood and walked to a small bookshelf. From it, he removed an old photo. He handed it to Thomas. It showed Evergreen Cabin, just as it was now. But standing beside it, Thomas caught his breath. It was him, younger, laughing, standing with people he barely remembered. Family, friends, moments long buried beneath years of motion. "I don't understand," Thomas whispered. "You don't have to," the man said gently. "Understanding wakes the mind. Feeling rests the heart." As the evening deepened, snow fell thicker. The man prepared a simple meal, warm bread, soup, sweet pastries dusted with sugar. They ate quietly. Afterward, the man placed a small wrapped gift on the table. "For you." Thomas hesitated. "I didn't bring anything." The man laughed softly. "You brought yourself. That's enough." Thomas opened the gift. Inside was a small wooden ornament, an evergreen tree carved carefully by hand. "When you forget warmth," the man said, "remember what stays green even in winter." Thomas felt his eyes grow heavy, not tired, peaceful. The firelight blurred softly. The man spoke gently, almost like a lullaby. "Sleep here tonight," he said. "The road will wait." Thomas slept deeply. He dreamed of past Christmases, laughter, kitchens full of warmth, hands clasped in kindness. But there was no sadness in the dream, only gratitude, only light, only rest. Morning arrived quietly. Sunlight filtered through frost-laced windows. Thomas woke in a cozy bed near the fire, now softly glowing embers. The cabin was silent. No sign of the man. On the table lay his coat, neatly folded, and beside it, the wooden evergreen ornament. Thomas stepped outside. The forest sparkled under fresh snow, but the cabin, it was gone. In its place stood untouched snow and tall evergreen trees. The road back appeared clear. Thomas held the ornament close. He felt lighter, calmer, as if something important had been gently returned to him. Thank you for dreaming with me tonight. Sleep well under the star-lit sky. Until our next story.